Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Outer Worlds 2 is out yesterday. I dropped my review, but there are actually two separate embargoes. Today is the day where I can start releasing guides. Now, earlier today, I already released a new player guide. Now I'm going to give you a guide that's walking through character creation. As I mentioned in my review, the cosmetic or aesthetic aspects of character creation, they're just okay. But as far as how you can build your character, some of the mechanics available, it's really, really cool. And so I think a lot of you are going to enjoy what I have to show here. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so the first screen you're going to get in character creation is this, and you're going to have two different body types you can select from, and then each one is going to have different presets that you can use as a base to figure out what type of character you want to create. And then you can also place different prosthetics on your arms and your legs. I mentioned during my review that I found this to be really cool because there are multiple sections where you see your mechanical hands doing specific tasks such as opening doors, playing around with circuits, things of that nature. And I found that aspect of the game to be really, really cool. And then you also have options as far as how you want to change the head, the skin tone, etc., etc. A lot of different options here. I wanted things to be a little bit more extreme than what they allow. So I wanted to get a character who was like truly, truly dark, like blue black. And you all know, if you've watched my live streams before, I like to play characters who are really old. And so I wanted to have someone who was truly, wrinkled, gray, looked like this was the last mission they will probably ever do. And I didn't feel like this character creation really allowed me to do that. So it might not go as extreme as you wanted to, but they are definitely a ton of different options for you to create the exact type of character you want. There are over 60 hairstyles to choose from in the game, so it's very likely you will be happy with something that's available in that area. And of course, you can change to different hair colors or whatever you prefer. There's also facial hair options as well, if you want to play around with that. And then cosmetically, there's eyeshadow, eyeliner, cheek, lipstick, and then you can also place dirt on your character if you prefer to play as someone who's very, very dirty. And then they also actually have over 60 different piercings you can choose from, and you can change the color of those piercings as well to align with whatever you want. And they've got a few tattoo options. I wasn't crazy about them, but there are a handful of them in case you want to try them out. And again, you can change the color of the tattoo as well. So definitely some cool options available to try to create the exact character that you want. But where I think things get really exciting is in the backgrounds. Now, keep in mind, the backgrounds don't give mechanical benefits. Instead, it's all about what type of person were you before you became a member of the Earth Directorate, and it gives you additional dialogue options in conversations. And there are instances where you need to interact with something, and your background might assist you in being able to do that easier. And so just running through the options here, I just mentioned ex-convict. So of course you were a criminal beforehand, you got caught, and now you're a part of the Earth Directorate. Gambler is all about someone who depends on luck and likes a little bit of chaos in their life. Lawbringer is what I chose for my playthrough, and obviously as someone who believes in the law and enforces the law, I got a ton of dialogue options with people, making it clear that I strongly believed in following the law. And keep in mind, these dialogue options, they don't necessarily convince people to see things your way. It's definitely more so about role playing, about saying, hey, this is where I stand. And so I'm going to have dialogue options that align with where it is that I stand. Definitely really, really cool stuff. Professor, I've already talked about a little bit. So you were very, very successful in archaeology, but your colleagues got jealous of you and you ended up having to serve in the Earth Directorate. Renegade is, I guess, basically the smarter convict. You're an outlaw, but not someone who actually got locked locked up, and they decided, you know what, your unsavory methods might be something that could be useful for their Earth Directorate, and so they brought you in. So this probably is very useful for criminals, similar to ex-convict. And then Roustabout is one I'm very, very curious about. Roustabout seems to be almost like you stumbled into being a part of the Earth Directorate. I think this probably pairs in a great way with Dumb, and I'd really, really like to try that out. Unfortunately, I'm very curious about Professor as well, so I don't think we'll be able to try this out for the live stream, but I'd love to be able to give this a whirl at some point. We'll see. All right, now regardless of what background you choose, you're going to be able to select a positive trait. And so the first one is Brawny. Now Brawny allows you to perform great feats of strength, which includes breaking open doors that have been locked. Usually you would only be able to do that when engineering or hacking if you are able to find a panel that operates the doors. And so Brawny allows you to just use brute force to get them open instead, giving you access to additional items and potentially information. So definitely this is cool to have. It also allows you, when sliding or sprinting into hostiles, to knock those characters down, which is great for melee oriented characters. You're going to be sprinting all the time, and if the enemies are knocked down, they cannot damage you. And so both offensively and defensively, this could be really, really powerful stuff. Great to partner with a melee build. Next up, we have Brilliant. So this is going to give you more dialogue options regarding being intelligent, solving problems, especially with people who are more science oriented, things of that nature. It's going to be nice. And so actually I plan to use it during our live stream. It also allows you to specialize in one additional skill. Now, without this, you're allowed to specialize in 2 skills. With this, you can specialize in 3. And the cool thing about that is you get 62 points in the game because you go up to level 30, which means you can max out 3 skills, and then you can get 2 extra points to work with. If you've got Brilliant and you specialize in another skill that you already plan to max, then that means you're going to have 4 extra points to work with. And there are a lot of great perks in this game that only require 1 or 2 points in the skill in order for you to be able to unlock them. So this actually opens up a lot more build possibilities as far as what you can do, especially if you pair it with an option you're going to get during the game where the more flaws you take, the more perks you can get. So you have enough perk points to take advantage of all these different skills you have access to. Really, really powerful stuff for sure. Next up is Heroic. Now, this is what I chose during my playthrough. And it's all about giving you dialogue options to make it clear, hey, I'm here to help, I want to save people, etc., etc. As I mentioned during my review, I was actually a little disappointed with how the dialogue options worked out, because a lot of times I felt like people wrote me off as opposed to actually believing that I was a hero and that I was here to help. But at the end of the day, it did definitely align with the type of character I wanted to play, and mechanically it's amazing. It's going to reduce your companion ability charge time by 20%. This is incredible for leadership builds, but frankly, even if you're not doing a leadership build, the faster you can get those companion abilities, the better. So definitely a nice option to consider. Next up is Innovative. So this is all about being able to kind of MacGyver different situations to put together something really cool that can help you. So in the game, you might, come across a panel that you can jimmy rig in some sort of way, and then it'll cause an explosion that'll take out a couple of enemies who you don't have to deal with anymore. Mechanically, it allows you, when crafting recipes for ammo, throwables, and resources, you're going to be able to create up to twice as many of those items. And this can be really, really nice because ammo and throwables and all those other things early in the game are going to be really expensive for you. And so creating twice as much of them is going to make things much easier on your pocketbooks. And frankly, if you're using the type of weapons that just chew through ammo all the time, then even mid and late game, being able to craft a lot of that ammo, it's going to be greatly to your benefit. So this is really really cool stuff. Next up is Lucky, and this is actually the second positive trait that I chose. So you can take 2 positive traits if you like, and this will allow you to choose 1 negative trait. We'll talk about that in a bit. Now, Lucky was awesome. Basically, what it does is it'll allow you to do something that you're not really supposed to be able to do. So might allow you to hack into something when you're not really supposed to be able to hack. Or maybe you'll understand, this math equation when you really know nothing about science or medicine. It'll just make you lucky and like, hey, this shouldn't have went your way, but it did. Really, really cool stuff. There were 2 or 3 times in the game where I was like, this really, really stands out for me. And I'm so glad that I had it in this particular situation. Now, mechanically, it's going to give you a 5% bonus to crit chance, which isn't all that great. So from a mechanic side, Lucky isn't all that awesome, but thematically, it's beautiful. I really, really enjoyed having it. And then after that is Nimble. So this is going to give you a 25% increase to crouch speed and combat sprint speed, which is going to be amazing for melee stealth builds. Of course, when you're crouching, that's the sneaking aspect of the game. And so you want to be able to do that as fast as possible. There are a lot of perks that allow you to sneak up to creatures, and then you'll have the option to tame them, or sneak up to robots and stun them, or even turn them against their enemies. So and stealth is very, very consistently an option in combat. Most of the time, a room or an area that enemies are in, and you can choose how to approach it. So if you want to play as a character who, for the most part, focuses on stealth, that's absolutely viable. And again, there are a ton of perks that will help you with that play style. Nimble will get you going in the right direction. Next up is Resilience. So this is going to be all about you are a hardy person, hard to take down, and you're very resilient against injuries. Now, mechanically, death is prevented for 3 seconds the first time you would have died in combat. This sounds great, and if you're doing a solo run, I absolutely recommend this. Is going to really help you. If you're not doing a solo run and you're playing on normal or just above normal, I don't think this is really worth it, because the game allows you to buy trauma kits, and the way trauma kits work is if at least one of your companions is still alive and you go down, that companion will use a trauma kit and revive you. So as long as you keep a few trauma kits on you, even if you go down, you can keep on trucking. On top of that, there's multiple gear options in the game that will specifically do things when an attack is supposed to take out all your health, that'll allow you to keep going. So this is kind of redundant. There are multiple other ways to do it. So unless you're playing on a really hard difficulty or you're trying to solo the game, I don't think it's worth it. But if you're doing one or both of those, then absolutely it's something to consider. Next up is Suave. So this is going to make you someone who's very good with words. You're very good with vendors, and you're automatically going to get a 10% discount at all vendors. And on top of that, your bounty must be 2 times higher than normal to be seen as an outlaw. So if your reputation with a faction goes down low enough, it can get to the point where they will shoot you on sight, and it will essentially become impossible to do any quests for those factions. Outer Worlds is absolutely a game that lets you completely screw up and kill whoever you want if that's what you're absolutely determined to do. And so Suave is going to make it much more difficult for that situation to come about, and it's going to make your dollars go a little bit longer. Now, me personally, I don't feel like it's worth it, because as long as you're not doing a murder hobo type of playthrough, building up reputation with the different factions is not a big deal, and maxing out their reputations is going to give you a significant discount on what they have anyway. And there's a flaw or two that helps you be able to sell or buy things from different factions easier as well. And I didn't feel like the detrimental part of these flaws was very impactful. So all the way around, I think there are multiple ways to make your dollar stretch more, and this isn't really worth it unless you really want to play as someone who's known as suave. Now, another option is witty. So this means you're fun and you're popular with other people. People like being around you, right? And mechanically, what this does is ensure that your reputation with any faction can never decrease below neutral, which again ties into you don't want to be in a situation where factions flat out won't work for you. This could be fantastic if you wanted to do a murder hobo type playthrough, but you don't want to be in a situation where you can't take any quest. Now, killing named characters in this game will just cause reputation with these factions to absolutely plummet. And so if you want to do the type of playthrough where you come to a city, you do all of the quests, turn in all the quests, and then once this city no longer serves a purpose for you besides selling and buying new equipment, you could just comb through and murder everybody there. And the lowest that faction will go is to neutral, allowing you to still be able to do things in the next town or the next planet that you go through. This basically makes that much more viable. All right, now those are all of the positive traits. Now, you don't have to just pick one. You can actually pick 2 positive traits, but then you're going to have to choose one negative option. Now, the negative option that I went with in the game is sickly, and this is going to reduce your base health by 15%, and it's going to reduce your toxicity crash threshold by 15. So toxicity basically determines how often you're able to heal yourself, because every time you use your healing inhaler, you're taking in drugs that have a toxic nature and your body can only handle so much. So I definitely felt this. I spent the majority of my playthrough only being able to use my inhaler once. And so in really tough firefights where I experienced a new wave of damage after I healed, it could be a tough situation. Now, there are a couple of ways to get around this. I ended up taking a flaw that increased my toxicity more, so that helped. And you get party members who are able to heal you. And when they heal you, it does not increase your toxicity. So this definitely is impactful and changes how you play, but there are ways to adapt. And at the end of the day, I definitely adapted for my playthrough. As far as dialogue options that it provided, there are a ton, and it was all about I had a weak constitution. I remember coming up on somebody who they said thought about something made them throw up, and I would say things like, "Yeah, I throw up all the time," that kind of stuff, right? You're just kind of a weak, sickly, frail person. Definitely, there was enough content here where I felt like I was role playing as this type of person. Really, really freaking cool. There was actually a bug in the game for my version of it, shouldn't be there for you all's version, where I could see all of the dumb dialogue options, even though I didn't click on the vast majority of them, and so I can't tell you what the responses were. And for those of you who loved dumb in the first game and were looking forward to that playthrough, it is back in a big, big way. Some of those options absolutely had me laughing out loud. In the first game, you could get a special ending if you went through the entire game as dumb. I don't know if that's the case for this game, but we're going to find out during my live stream, because I'm definitely going to pick up dumb as my option. Now, if you choose this, not only do you get a ton of dialogue options that align with someone who is just completely stupid and doesn't understand anything, but you're also going to have to lock 5 of the 12 available skills, and these skills basically can never have points added to them. Now, this sounds like a big deal, but frankly, that's only the case if you're trying to be a jack of all trades type of build, which frankly, I don't recommend. I highly recommend you need to choose 3 skills and then just stick with them and specialize in them. But as long as you're doing that, if you only have 3 skills that you can specialize in, that means there are 9 other skills that you're only going to have 2 to 3 points in at most. And so locking down 5 skills isn't really a big deal at all because those skills were never going to get points anyway. Now, the last one that I don't know all that much about is abrasive. I haven't seen any of those dialogue options, but it's all about people don't like you, people don't like talking to you. Keep in mind that unlike your background, people don't automatically associate your negative traits with you. So like if you chose the lawbringer background, when you're trying to talk to someone, they'll just say, oh, I know you, you're known as a lawman, right? But I chose sickly. Nobody ever said, oh yeah, we know you. We know that you have a weak constitution and that you're injured easily or anything of that sort, right? So it gives you extra dialogue options that you have a choice about whether or not you're going to use. So you have a choice to be abrasive with characters, or you could choose not to be abrasive, up to you. Now, mechanically, it makes it so that reputation with factions can never increase above neutral. Keep in mind that this overrides anything else. So there is a perk that automatically gives you 75 more points with all factions and can frankly max you out in all factions pretty much immediately. This overrides that, where even if you take that perk, you will still never go up above neutral. So definitely impactful to your playthrough. It's going to limit what you can get as far as discounts with vendors and how much they appreciate you, but it could still end up being a really interesting playthrough. All right, now finally we're at the skills menu. So you can specialize in 2 skills or 3 if you've chosen Brilliant as one of your traits. And each skill that you specialize in is going to start with a rank of 2, and you're going to be able to max it much faster because it's not going to be limited by what your character level is. For all of the other skills, of course, you can still put points in them, but they're going to have to scale much slower if you have not specialized in that particular area. I am going to have a video going over all the skills and their associated perks, so I'm not going to go deep into them in this video. I'm just going to briefly go over each one. So engineering allows you to interact with mechanics and gives you some additional damage resistance. So actually engineering is great to choose if you want to be a tank, and there are a ton of options to interact with mechanics where engineering is going to be beneficial. Explosives gives you more explosives damage, and you get a ton of grenades you can use, and you can craft a lot more. It's also going to give you a lot more damage resistance against explosives and mines, if I remember correctly. So there are ton of minefields in this game that you have to deal with, and enemies like to use grenades. Explosives is absolutely awesome to have. Guns, no question, great to have. It's going to increase your range damage and armor penetration. There are a ton of different guns in the game, and this skill is going to help all of them. Hack is going to allow you to hack into a lot of different terminals that you interact with throughout the game. There's a lot of information unlocked behind hacking. So if you have high rank here, you're going to be more informed about what's going on in the world and about what other characters are doing. Definitely something to consider. You can also hack into enemy robots if you sneak up to them, and that can either stun them, or I believe you can scramble them to turn them against their foes. And you're going to deal more damage against robots as well. There are a lot of robots throughout the game, so that's very useful. Leadership is going to increase your companion's damage and health. I focused on this during my playthrough, and I thought it made it significantly easier. Your companions are way more aggressive and useful in this game, and so having high ranks here allowed them to really go at it. Even when I didn't manually use their companion ability, they were great in the first Outer Worlds, but I felt like you basically constantly had to use their companion ability in order to get the most out of them. With this, you don't necessarily have to. They all on their own will go at it and be very aggressive. And there are a lot of good perks associated with leadership as well. Lockpicking determines whether or not you're able to pick certain locks. Your party members cannot pick locks for you. So if you do not have lockpicking, you are not going to be able to get into certain doors or equipment. Keep in mind, it's the same for hacking or engineering or any other skill that I've mentioned. There are a ton of locked doors and chests, and so that alone can make it really a good idea to pick this up. And it's going to increase your evasion chance, which based upon your build could be very beneficial as well. Melee increases your melee damage and the damage that it decreases the damage that you receive while blocking, which all of that is definitely very, very important. If you're going to do a melee build, this is very beneficial. Medical, as we already mentioned, toxicity determines how often you can heal. So the higher medical skill you have, the more toxicity threshold you have, and the more times you're going to be able to heal, or the more primers you can add into your inhaler to make the healing even more powerful. On top of that, it will also increase the amount of damage you do towards creatures. And I feel like this game has a 33% split between creatures, robots, and humans. So frankly, any damage increase you get against any of those groups is fantastic and is absolutely going to help you. So this is great stuff. Observation allows you to see hidden objects that are in the game. I can't tell you really anything about this. I had zero observation during my playthrough. I don't feel like I came across very many dialogue options that had observation, but I could be wrong about that. If you're going to be a sniper, definitely this is a skill you want to pick up. And if you want to focus on weak spots, as you can see, right off the bat, it's going to add 15% to your weak spot damage, and that's going to increase as you continue to increase the skill. So if you're focusing on headshots or weak areas for other creatures, like in the back when you're facing spiders, this is definitely something you're going to want to have. And then next up, we have science. So science is going to increase your gadget energy meter. So for example, for those of you who played the first game, time distillation is back, and the gadget meter determines how long that slowdown is going to occur. There are actually multiple different gadgets you get over the course of the game, and some of them have really cool effects that are useful in and out of combat. So this is great to have. It's also going to add more stacks of non-physical damage type side effects, so you can shock enemies, which interrupts them, and if you get maximum stacks, you'll paralyze enemies. You can burn enemies, and that'll do damage over time. If you get max stacks of burn, enemies will explode. Each different type of damage has stacks that are side effects and an ultimate version of it when those stacks are max. So the faster you're able to do that, the more effective you'll be. So science is really great to have, and there are a ton of dialogue options that I saw associated with science, and so I'm really looking forward to our live stream where I plan to max science out. Sneak is going to increase your sneak attack damage and decrease NPC's ability to detect you. Again, sneak is very consistently an option in Outer Worlds 2. Usually you come into rooms and enemies do not know that you are present yet. And so if you're patient and careful, you could try to sneak to each one and take them out. Now, bodies can be discovered, but you will get a gadget that allow you to deal with that. And so it's definitely a viable option for you to completely focus on if that's something you want to do. And there are a ton of perks focused around sneak to make it even more interesting. And then finally, what is, in my opinion, the most important skill in the game, speech, is going to determine your ability to pass speech checks. There are a ton of them all throughout your experience. Many of them are needed in order to create much better results in conversations than what you would have otherwise. Now, keep in mind, speech is not the only way to persuade. I mentioned in my review, there are a ton of different ways you can persuade someone, but it's the most consistent. Almost always in a conversation, if you have high speech, that's going to help you. It's just that it's not the only thing that's going to help you. But on top of being great in conversations, there's also a speech perk that's going to scale your damage based on how high speech is. And there are two different perks that allow you to frighten enemies when you either damage them or kill one of their allies. And that's great defensively, because basically it causes enemies to run away from you for 8 seconds before they'll finally decide to circle back and attack you. And so it could be really nice to kill one enemy and then cause all of the low-level enemies to run while you deal with a boss or elite, and then hopefully that's taken care of by the time they run back. So just all the way around, more than any other skill, speech is going to have a massive impact on your playthrough. Definitely recommend checking it out. And that is all the information that I have regarding character creation. I really hope you all enjoyed this. If there's additional content you're looking for regarding the game, let me know. I do plan to do a video giving you 7 perks that I believe any build can use, along with a full breakdown of the entire perks list in the Outer Worlds 2. So be on the lookout for that content. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Let me know if there's any other content regarding this game that you're looking for. I could definitely take a look at and potentially put that together for you. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there are links down in the description to either join as a member or sign up for my Patreon. I would definitely appreciate it. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.